Welcome to our two-day state con law extravaganza, the power of state constitutional rights. My name is Kasha Wolfcott. I am senior counsel at the Brennan Center, where I focus on surprise, state courts, and state constitutions. A few housekeeping notes. Bathrooms are to the left of the vending machines at the end of the hallway. There is Illinois CLE credit available for in-person attendees. You can go to the registration desk to get the link. And you can text questions during the panels to the following phone number, 201-528-3781, and we are happy to repeat that throughout. Again, if you have any questions during the panels, text them to the following phone number, 201-528-3781. And now I will turn things over to Zach Clopton, the Interim Dean of Northwestern Law School, May Hiatt, the Editor-in-Chief of the Northwestern Law Review, and Michael Waldman, the President and CEO of the Brennan Center.
Good morning. I'm so pleased to welcome you all to Northwestern Pritzker School of Law. I'm Zach Clopton, the Dean of the Law School here. And I'm also pulling double duty as a faculty sponsor of this event. A big part of my job is telling people how excited I am that they've come to Northwestern, but I can let you in on a little secret that I really mean it today. Because, as I said, I'm a co-sponsor of this event. I'm someone who cares deeply about the issues we're talking about today, and I will put my professor hat back on and moderate a panel tomorrow. You're joining us at a very exciting time at Northwestern Law School. We had more applications to join our JD class than we've ever had in the school's history. We have the best academic credentials in our incoming class that we've ever had. We're #1 in job placements in big law and placing students in amazing opportunities in public interest, in government, and in clerkships. This is also an important time to be talking about issues related to state law, state constitutional rights, and state courts. I think I don't have to tell any of you about the things going on in our wider world, indeed things going on in our city. And so being able to talk about these issues here in Chicago on a day like today, I think is more important than ever. Before we begin the events, I do want to give a few thank yous to folks who made today's event happen. First, from the Northwestern University Law Review, special thanks to May Hiatt, the Editor-in-Chief, Lily Piper, Senior Symposium Editor, and Giselle Goad, the Symposium Editor. We also want to thank our partners at the Brennan Center, especially Alicia Bannon, Susan Augenbraun, Terrence Francois, and Jamie Muth. I want to give a thank you to my friend and co-sponsor of this event, Professor Dan Rodriguez, and to the so many people here at Northwestern Law who have made this event possible, who provided breakfast, our great space, and the great events you're going to see over the next 2 days. It's been a pleasure working with the Law Review and the Brennan Center on putting this together, and I am confident you will enjoy and learn a lot from the next 2 days. So thank you again for joining us. I'm really excited for the program, and I'm going to turn things over to May Hiatt.
Good morning, everybody. My name is May Hiatt. I'm the Editor-in-Chief of the Northwestern University Law Review, and along with Dean Clopton and Michael Waldman of the Brennan Center, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the today's symposium on the power of state constitutional rights. Symposia are very special events. I think they're very distinct from trade conferences or guest lectures at a law school. Their sole purpose is the free intercourse of ideas. There's no one legal question or one individual that dominates. In some sense, they're quite indulgent exercises, just thoughtful discourse for its own sake. I've no doubt that many great essays will be produced from the discussions we have today, and the arguments contained in those essays will go on to have a life of their own in litigation and policymaking. But as for today and tomorrow, I'm just very excited to witness the pure, time-honored act of open, impactful, and intelligent debate. It's something that really ought to be protected, and it's a great honor that the Law Review is able to put on such an event. In thanks, first and foremost, I really want to thank the members of the Law Review that made this event possible, specifically Lily Piper and Giselle Goad. Our small but mighty symposium team, they've been Herculean in their efforts over the past year and especially over the past few months in putting this together, and the entire Law Review is deeply indebted to them. In addition to the members of the Law Review, I really wanted to thank the Brennan Center and State Court Report, specifically Alicia Bannon, Susan Augenbraum, Terrence Francois, and Jamie Muth for being incredibly proactive, responsive, and thoughtful over the truly innumerable emails and meetings that we've exchanged over the past few months. Our gratitude to them cannot be overstated. As Dean Clopton said, I really want to thank the staff of Northwestern University for putting this together, and especially Dean Clopton and Professor Rodriguez. Dean Clopton, of course, was elevated to his new position during the pendency of this planning of this event. Doubtless it was his association with the Law Review that locked up that position for him, but in all seriousness, the fact that he's been able to continue to help in the planning and organizing of this event is just a testament to how much he cares about state constitutional rights and legal scholarship in general. Finally, I'd like to thank the speakers, panelists, and moderators for taking part and traveling a long way and taking time out of their busy schedules to put on this presentation. And thank all of you for coming. Legal scholarship and symposia like this are, I think, crucially important today. And we would not be able to do what we do if people didn't care and want to come. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, May. Thank you, Dean. I'm Michael Waldman. I'm the president and CEO of the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU School of Law. We are thrilled to be here with all of you in this beautiful building and this remarkable spot for a really important, a timely, and an exciting conversation. We couldn't be having this conversation at a more critical time. We all know that we're deep at this moment into a federal government shutdown, the longest on record. We know even this week that the Supreme Court has taken steps to step back from issues ranging from abortion rights to redistricting, may take further steps to pull back from federal protection for voting rights, and in many ways is ceding the field in a lot of areas. And we know that we have an executive, president, engaged in many new activities and new claims of power which touch on and bump up against states and localities and their rights and their interests. It's really not an abstract question. These are deep, vital questions of constitutional governance for our country right now. And it's part of why we have this symposium that we're thrilled to do with Northwestern Law Review, building on a similar symposium we did last year with the NYU Law Review, but also why we are deepening our own work at the Brennan Center on state constitutions and state courts and what they mean. You see the logo up there for State Court Report. That is just the most visible manifestation. It's a remarkable site that my colleagues work on to keep up to date as a watering hole for people all across the country wrestling with these issues to talk to each other, in part because there are so many commonalities in what we see in state constitutions. There's a growing and great recognition that the states play, and can play even more so, a vital role at a time like this in our country, and that state constitutions and state courts are an independent source for protection of rights, whether it's property rights, individual rights, criminal justice, gun rights, all the different kinds of ways in which we know that state constitutions speak out often much more explicitly than the US Constitution does. We work, as you may know, at the Brennan Center quite a bit to strengthen our democracy and protect voting rights. And I'm endlessly struck by the fact that 49 of the 50 states have more explicit protection for the right to vote in the state constitutions than the US Constitution does, as just one example. We have an opportunity in understanding federalism and in understanding these charters of freedom in all the different states to do what Abraham Lincoln urged us to do, which was to disenthrall ourselves and think anew. And that's really what this conversation and this conference is about. We're really honored to have so many leading practitioners, scholars, and advocates. I will note that this is, from the Brennan Center's perspective, not really a new topic in the following sense as well. Many of you perhaps know that the Brennan Center was started 30 years ago by the clerks and family of the late Supreme Court Justice William Brennan after he left the court. And I was a law student back in an earlier century at NYU, and was thrilled to hear that Justice Brennan, still on the bench, would be coming to deliver a major lecture at the law school. And I didn't know what he was going to talk about. Was this going to be New York Times v. Sullivan or the Warren Court? And I was surprised when he said, the topic I want to talk about is the vital role of state constitutions and state courts, and urging people then who were so enthralled to the activism of the Supreme Court of that era to take special attention and pay special attention to all of these documents and the systems that they anchored. He said that day, he said, the legal revolution, which has brought federal law to the fore, must not be allowed to inhibit the independent protective force of state law. For without it, the full realization of our liberties, Justice Brennan said, cannot be guaranteed. So there's a long provenance to this that we are honored to be part of. I want to, before I turn it over to our first speakers, join in the chorus of thanks. There's some repetitiveness, but you can't say thank you too often, so we certainly do want to thank the Northwestern Law Review, to May Hiatt, Lily Piper, and Giselle Goad. Of course, the faculty sponsors, the dean and Professor Daniel Rodriguez, who we're about to hear from, who did so much to bring this to Northwestern. Northwestern staff, including Sebastian Bujak and the whole facility staff, and many, many of my colleagues from the Brennan Center. We've mentioned a few: Susan Augebron, Terrence Francois, Jamie Muth, and the folks in the Initiative on State Courts, our judiciary program led by Alicia Bannon, and you will hear from a number of them during the course of the next 2 days. And to our colleagues at NYU School of Law, Dean Troy McKenzie and others who've been so encouraging of us. I'm excited. I think this is going to be something that really helps us widen our minds about what is possible. And to that end, the first conversation we'll have will be with a really special speaker. Chief Judge Jeffrey Sutton of the Sixth Circuit is one of the visionaries on this subject, the author of an esteemed book on state constitutions, an ardent voice for taking seriously what these documents mean, and a leader in the federal judiciary and in the entire legal world on this. And we're really honored to have Judge Sutton here, and he will be in conversation with Professor Daniel Rodriguez, the Harold Washington professor here at Northwestern. So please join me in welcoming them to the stage, and thank you all again for being here.